Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first time I've spoken at this conference, so I'm really looking forward to the next 3 days, and I hope you get something out of our presentation today. There's the usual disclaimer. Bryah Resources is a WA-based company. It was established in 2017 for the purpose of exploring for copper and gold, and gold-only assets, but also manganese assets on our 2 projects in Western Australia. I'll talk about the manganese at the end very briefly, but focus on the copper and gold today. That's our corporate snapshot. You can see we've got 97 million shares on issue at the moment, so we're very tightly held with a good capital structure. We've got $2 million in the bank at the moment. So at our current share price, our market cap's about 5.4 million, which by any measure is pretty modest at the moment. Cheap, I would say, is crossing the mind of some of you here, hopefully. The $2 million in cash we raised earlier this month, that was with the support of Hartley's Stockbroking out of Perth. They're a very reputable broking firm, and they approached us about raising the money. They like our story and are certainly acting as our advisors going forward. Top 20 holds 51% of the company. AVL, Australian Vanadium Resources, or Australian Vanadium Limited, they're one of our largest shareholders with 7.7%, followed by the Hutton family. These are the son of and rest of the family of the late Graham Hutton, who was a geologist who was instrumental in the discovery of the Samfire's DeGruza deposit in Western Australia. So they've certainly liked the ground we've got and have backed us for the second time, hopefully. That map shows where our projects are, both in Western Australia near the town of Meekatharra, which is 750 k's north of Perth, Gabon to the south, and the Bryah Basin about 150 k's north of that. There's good sealed road access into the area. So if we drill down onto the Bryah Basin project slide, you can see there we've got 975 k's of ground under our control. It's close to DeGruza, which is shown to the east, and the Horseshoe Lights copper gold mine, which we basically surround there to our north. There's also large gold mines in the area. Peak Hill is one of the richest gold mines in Western Australia, and Fortnum Gold Mine is being run by West Gold at the moment. Bryah Resources land holding is probably is the largest actively explored area in the Bryah Basin outside of Samfire Resources control. Samfire have tied up a lot of joint ventures with a lot of companies and are systematically exploring on ground right next to us, but we're fiercely independent of at this point in time. Last year we also successfully negotiated an option over some ground, and we exercised that option this year for the Horseshoe South Manganese mine and about 150 square k's of manganese rights on other tenure, which is shown on that slide in green. So I'll talk about our exploration success on the copper and gold last year within the time I've got available. Since we listed, we've really gone about this in a systematic way. We've looked at our land holding and said we need to filter down from 100% down to 10% fairly quickly. So we spent all of 2018 doing regional scale work, AirMag, airborne VTEM, broad space soil sampling activities, which narrowed down a number of targets which we drill tested in the second half of last year. Historically, exploration in this area has all been chasing shallow open pittable gold resources, and certainly on our ground, all of the previous work has pretty much been drilling down to about 50 metres depth. However, that all got turned up on its head when Samfire made their discovery of DeGruza in 2009, and people realised that Horseshoe Lights wasn't an enigma, it being the only copper gold deposit in the area, but there's potential for plenty more there. So the view is that the Bryah Basin is a camp of high-grade copper and gold deposits. So we drilled Windalar, and you can see that photo of the rig there. We're only 13 k's south of the Horseshoe Lights mine on that slide. So this is a drill hole location plan. We did 5 holes, first ever holes in the area which were deeper than 100 metres. historical holes are shown there in blue. They were drilled down to about 40 metres depth. And they got some smoke. You know, they were getting 4 metres at 2 to 3 grams gold in composite samples. So the best intervals we had were the two on the eastern side there, holes 19 and 20, which came up with 5 metres at 6.6 and 3 metres at 6.7 grams respectively. You can see from the plan that the location of these holes are in an area which is shown in yellow there, called the Horseshoe Lights mine sequence. And that really this interpretation is that we're in the same geological setting as the Horseshoe Lights mine to the north, where the ore body there started as a gold deposit on the top, and then as you got down below the contact between the sediments and the volcanics, about 100 metres down below that contact, you hit the massive sulphides. And that's really what we're targeting here. Obviously, the drilling is open along strike and down dip, as you would be with a handful of holes. So this is a section showing the results there. You can see the blue is the overlying sediments, the green is the volcanics, and let's work this. Oops. Yeah, so the volcanics down here, and this intermediate zone is dominated by a chert, and it actually is physically able to be seen on the ground by a small hill. So when we look at here, we've got the gold in the cherts, and what's really important for us is this sulphide alteration down here. Getting into the volcanics, we're seeing pyrite, chlorite, sericite alteration, a lot of magnetite as well. And these are the things you see in the VMS systems like Horseshoe Lights to the north. So we think what we are here is we're in an area which is a halo for a larger system. And to support that, just to the east, about 1 kilometre from where we've been drilling, our 250 metre grid pattern soil sampling activities last year identified a big antimony, arsenic and selenium anomaly. Coincidental. You can see this anomaly through here. The drilling is over here that I mentioned before. And this is 10 times background, so it's a real anomaly. We did it at 500 metres and went back and did infill at 250. And the geological team is really quite excited about this because it's a large scale, it's over a square kilometre, and we're certainly going to test this with our next phase of drilling. So in the last few days, we've just completed a gravity survey over that area in the polygon I've shown you there. We had the heritage surveys done last week to clear the ground so we can go back and do some drilling. And our plan is to get back there and start drilling before the end of the year. So in summary, our plan is to undertake the detailed interpretation with the gravity data and other data we've got, and get out there and do the drilling on the VMS and around the gold. And also in other areas, we're going to do some reconnaissance work. There's some other targets I haven't mentioned today, such as Wongawa, Fiddler's East, and Wadja East, which are all looking very exciting, and we'll take those on with some reconnaissance work. I'll now just talk about our other gold project at Gabon. We hold 170 square kilometres of exploration rights to precious and base metals there. Our major shareholder, Australian Vanadium, holds the rights to the vanadium and other associated minerals. Project's about 40 kilometres south of Meekatharra, and there's 2 gold processing plants in the area. Bluebird, which is about 30 k's to the northwest, and then closer to us down here, Burnakara, which is owned by Monument Mining. They're looking to get back into production, but at the moment they need more ounces of gold before they pull the trigger on that. So after we listed, we took a drill rig up there and did some drilling in December 2017 at Tumblegum South, and we followed that up with another program in the last few days, and the assay results on that are pending. We drilled 16 holes for about 1,500 metres. So our plan, once we get those results, is to do a mineral resource estimate and then build a resource base around that. The 2017 drilling had some good results there. We had 1 metre interval at about an ounce of gold per tonne. And you can see here, this is that 1 metre interval. We went back and panned that up. A little bit of a fine gold tail there, a lot of sulphides in it, which is very encouraging. So it doesn't look like it's a nuggety gold mineralisation at all. So you can see the results here in this area through here is on the next slide is the long section. So you can see there's old workings here. There's a shaft down at least to at 80 metres depth. There's a stope here which we've intersected with a number of holes. And the high grade gold is over here, 2 metres at 18. The blue, all these blue holes here are the latest ones. Hole 40 we just drilled to see if we'd hit the stope, and we didn't hit the stope, so we think the stope stops basically in line with this shaft. And we drilled these 2 deeper holes down here. The really encouraging logging has come in from those deeper holes, so we're looking forward to getting those results in the next few days. Very briefly, regionally, our view is that this whole area hasn't been adequately explored. This area through here is all undercover basically, but there's interpreted from geophysics these thrust faults. All the mineralisation in this area is associated with those thrust faults. So once we've completed our work on Tumblegum, we'll start doing some regional exploration on that ground next year. So our plan, Gabon Enther, get the 3D model refined and get that resource estimate completed as soon as possible. We really do want to monetize that area at Tumblegum South because we're surrounded by other tenure, including those who are planning to get back into production. And so we're aiming to move that, monetize that, and do the regional work as part of our follow-up next year. So in the last couple of minutes, I'll just talk about manganese. The Bryah Basin's got a history of manganese production, and earlier this year we exercised an option on the Horseshoe South mine, which was the largest producing manganese mine in the Bryah Basin. They've produced over 1 million tonnes of high-grade manganese has come out of there. And all up, we've got we've got about 60 line kilometres of the manganese horizon in a geological unit called the Horseshoe Formation. So we've become the dominant holder of manganese assets in the area. And earlier this year, we announced a joint venture with a company called OM Holdings, ASX listed, ticker code OMH. And that was for a joint venture on manganese only on the tenements shown in red here. So basically the Horseshoe Formation runs up through this area here, and the Horseshoe South mine sits right in the middle there, you can see. We retain all the other rights to every other mineral except for manganese. Now, OM Holdings, they're a fully integrated company. They're mining at Bootu Creek at the moment, which is that photo there, and they're smelting manganese in Malaysia to produce ferroalloys, which they sell into the steel market. Their energy costs are 3.5 cents US per kilowatt hour, so they're the lowest quartile manganese alloy producer probably in the world at the moment. And they've got their mine they've got in Bootu Creek in the Northern Territory. It's got about 18 months worth of mine life. So they have said to us, we want to keep mining in Australia. We like getting supply from Australia, so they are serious about finding a replacement deposit for their Bootu Creek. So we were very pleased to do a deal with them. This slide details the terms of that in brief. It's a $7.3 million deal. They've already spent the first $1 million to get to 10%, which involved them paying us $500,000 cash in 2 tranches. The second one was paid in August, so we're now sitting with them at 10% and we've got 90%. They'll be funding the next $2 million worth of expenditure, which will occur probably over the next 12 to 18 months. And really, the advantage, or the good thing for us, is we're project managers throughout all of this. So we control the news flow, which is important from a junior explorer's point of view. When they get to 51%, the expectation is we'll be in a position where we want to start production. The chairman at the signing ceremony in April, he said to me, I don't care how small the production is to start with, we just need to get started. So the aim is that they'll take over management of the project. They're the miners, we'll keep exploring. And we've got the right then, once they get to 51%, we can dilute further by forcing them to spend more money if we want to. So there's another $4.3 million worth of spend to get them up to 70%, but we may be quite happy to sit at 49%. So we think that's a great deal for Bryah, a company of our size, to get a company of OM Holdings to come and joint venture with us. It really gives us a serious opportunity to get into a manganese production story and generate some serious revenue with a global scale manganese producer. So in conclusion, what are the highlights? I think, from our perspective, we've got high quality untested gold and copper and gold exploration targets with the potential for some of these to turn into the next big copper gold discovery in the Bryah Basin. We've got over 1,200 square kilometres of ground across our two projects in an excellent location, which we've really only just started to evaluate. We've got exciting potential for manganese discoveries being funded by OM Holdings, leading production and positive revenue in the near future. And the joint venture with OM Holdings, whilst they fully fund the activities, they also bring significant de-risking for us. They've got the expertise in mining, processing and marketing, and those things they bring to the table. So for us, that's a real win-win. Thanks for your time today. Thank you.